The analysis continues of one of the most fascinating cases. It's getting better and more interesting as the day goes on. I'm not just saying this. We're having layer upon layer of intrigue. What is so fascinating about the whole case involving Charlie and his demise, and Erika and others, is that not only are we finding out about her, but virtually every single person in lines of this, every stratum, every layer, every bit of investigation, everybody is weird, creepy, strange, odd, weird. I don't think, based upon Candace's assiduous work, I don't think there's anybody either in the TPUSA. And by the way, remember, weird doesn't mean guilty of anything. It just means they're weird, and they're. I mean, you cannot get a weirder group of people. You have never seen. I've never seen anybody, a group so monumentally as discombobulated as they are in terms of how to screw things up. We'll talk about that a little bit about Pam Bondi, a little bit about that, and others that are going on. I understand that Ms. Candace gave us a shout out yesterday, so we're making our ways. I've got we're going to be having some interviews coming up, very interesting, with Jimmy Dore, our friend Colin. We're going to be talking to. I was on with Sean Atwood today. Please watch that. Please let me give you this one. This was a barn burner. I have an ability, I'm very proud to say, to make Sean lose his mind. And it is absolutely wonderful. It is terrific. It's so terrific. And I can make him laugh by virtue of an ability that I have with him, because he's a really good egg. And I want to give you this link. Make sure you see this, because I went on. And by the way, we're also talking to our UK audience, and they know all about this. There we go. That is the piece. I just put a link up there. This is our piece with Sean today. And this is so interesting. And you apparently have appreciated my legal definition, because this is fascinating in terms of the, how do I say this? In terms of the strategy and everything that's involved in it. It's like watching, if we had a little telestrator, remember when John Madden would do the circles and explain what's happening? So we're seeing this at so many levels, and I want to start. First and foremost, let me begin. The case as is right now, involving Tyler Robinson, unless there is something that we know nothing about, is going to be a veritable minefield for the prosecution. A minefield. I am not suggesting for a moment that we know everything about it, because remember, we're kind of looking at this thing from afar. But it is nothing even remotely similar to or like open and shut. It is going to be replete with problems unless and until they do something. I don't know who handed this over to them. The prosecutor, I feel sorry, because she, it, they have this thrust upon them. There's nothing that they can really do other than try their best. In case you just tuned in, let me remind you, Pam Bondi is available for legal advice. We will get to that in a minute, my dear friends. I promised you. The thing that's so difficult to understand or to grasp regarding this case is that the defense has no duty to do anything. The defense, Tyler Robinson's people, can just sit back and say, okay, see what you got. It's up to you Make your case stick. Tell me what you've got. Show me what you've got. Let me see what you've got. Let me see what you've got. Now, so far, in case you've just tuned in, there may be some very serious issues. I know Candace has indicated before that there was some doubt as to whether there was an actual confession of sorts, whether Tyler actually confessed, actually admitted to his involvement in the case, his involvement in these particular matters, his culpability, his criminality, and the like. You see where we're going with this? This is important. There's a very, 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 very serious. What did he say to his family? It might very well be that the only thing that was done was he might say, I've got people coming after me. I've got to turn myself in. I have been advised that to protect my own life, because something can very, very easily go wrong, I want to turn myself in. Could that have been construed, or as R.G. Bucket would say, conscrewed? Could that have been construed as his admitting to anything? I don't know. Admitting to anything? Did he admit? Or did he say, you're looking for me, here I am, that's it? Number two, you would have seen, I promise you, the most explicit, the most thorough expatiation, dare I say, of everything that is involved in this case. You would have seen the interview at the police station, which we normally see. You would have seen the police talk to him. You would have seen his response. You would have seen all. You would have seen all of this. All of this you would have been a part of. You would have known this. You would have seen. You would have been made aware of everything that's going on right now. Everything. You would have seen specifically how he was there. And it's normally so thorough. And believe me, if you've got somebody who has already confessed, you want everybody, I mean everybody, to know this. We haven't seen this. There are people coming forward. I love this bunch of caca del toro, as we say. You know, these people who are coming out, they're gonna be contaminating the jury. You know, you got to be careful not to contaminate the jury. You don't want to contaminate the jury, especially with this nonsense that you're doing, because this is crazy. He won't be able to get a fair trial. Prosecutors never care anything about that. They love to load you up with the facts and who said what and why the guy's guilty. But if he tries to do it back, if he tries to provide maybe some points of, you know, his reference, oh, no. That's contamination. He won't get a fair trial. I think it's the opposite. He might get a very fair trial, especially if you understand what's going on. Because remember, he doesn't have to prove anything. You have to prove anything. You are everything. You have to. You have to do this. He doesn't. Now, so let's go back. If there is nothing that we know that is specifically anywhere similar to this idea of a how do I say this? Of a confession. If there was no confession, no real confession the way people normally think of a confession, what do they have? What is it they have? I don't know. I don't know. What is it? There's Raul Rodriguez. Raul, haven't seen you, my friend. Good to see you, buddy boy. Good to see you indeed. So that's that. Okay? Next, let's talk about the gun, the rifle. The shooting iron. If there is no connection whatsoever, none, and let me say this again, everybody say, don't say there's no connection. There's no connection to that rifle and any round or projectile or bullet that was fired into the body of Charlie. What do you have? Nothing. What do you have to show? Nothing. Nothing. Now think about this. You've got this guy, no confession, assuming there isn't this there isn't somebody from the prosecutor's office who says, oh, no, we've got him confessing. You didn't see this. And then maybe there was this long, hour-long apologia where he goes off and on. I don't think so, but you have this rifle, this Mauser 98. And what is the connection between it and what we hear here? What is the connection? What is the connection? Very important. What is the connection between these folks? And the answer is, I don't know. I simply don't know. This is one of those things which is so fascinating. And the reason why it's so fascinating is this is also something from a point of view of just, how do I say this? Just common sense. So let's go back. You're in the jury. You're there, and you're waiting, and you see this man, and you say, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we have this fellow, and his name is Tyler Robinson. He has been charged, and here is the evidence. This gun, this rifle, which he believed possessed at some point, may or may not have been involved in this. This may or may not have been involved in this case. What does that mean? Well, is there a connection? No. We found fragments of something which believed most probably would have been the projectile of the bullet, and they might have been found in his abdomen, we don't know where it is. We don't have an exit wound. None of this makes sense. When this gets done, and you have experts really look at this, you're going to say, I don't know what happened. There's Jamie Burlington. Thank you, Jamie. Good, Jamie. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Now, let me go back. So let's put this aside for a moment, and let's go back a little bit. Why is President Trump extolling her virtues? Why does President Trump say, you should sue? Sue what? Because of Drewski? What are you talking about? Sue what? Parody? Wait. What? Is this the way we are today? We just sue everybody? Sue for what? Sue for what? Let me also explain something. New York Times against Sullivan is still good law, whether it's true or not. If you are a public figure, and she is absolutely a public figure, without a doubt, if she were to dare, if she were to try, if she were to attempt to bring a defamation, say libel, whatever, she has to prove that what was said against her was either done with malice, or that it is so. For example, malice is either something that is a reckless disregard for the truth, or some type of recklessness is some type of hatred. Good luck. Good luck. When you are in the United States of America, whether you like it or not, and you are thrust into the position of authority, remember, you want this. You think Candace Owens has had a few things said about her? Oh my God. Do you think Alex Jones? Go down the list. I don't care who these people are. Just go down the list. How about Kristi Noem's husband and her? This guy with his breastplate and what the hell is that all about? Boy, this is weird. This is weird. Kristi Noem, her husband, this guy, the cross-dresser. Then you've got Pam Bondi today. You know who's next, right? Who do you think's next? Guess. Who do you think's next? Who? Who do you think's next? Who's next on the chopping block? Who? Who? In the administration. Who is it? Who is it? I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. I'm getting laid. Who is it? Guess who's next? That's right. Cash, the Cashster. Hegseth, I don't know what he's doing. I have no clue what he's doing. I don't know anymore. I don't know. But we're not here to talk about that. But this is just nuts. See, Bongina is going to end up being one of the smartest people. He got the hell out of there. I think he saw this thing is going to come crushing down. And it's not necessarily the president's fault, other than he might have been negligent in hiring these people. How do you do this? How do you get these people? So when you have this sense of, I mean, everything, when it comes to criminal justice, whether it's Alina Habba, whether it's the woman in Virginia, all of these people, we're getting tired. Now listen to this. We're getting more and more used to, we're being acclimated into this belief that somehow a prosecution is just incompetent. Look at Nancy Guthrie. When was the last time I heard of somebody who was just kidnapped and never think about it. Kidnapped and never returned. They never find a body. Nothing. Just gone. You ever hear about that? Talk about the Keystone Cops. There is this, apparently this prevailing, I'm sorry to say this, but this prevailing opinion on the part of this, that there is a very, very serious misapplication of trust in criminal justice systems. Love you, Lino, from, look at this, Aotearoa, New Zealand, a Kiwi. Aotearoa, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. Thank you. I am honored. I love the way the Kiwis, New Zealanders have to say, no, I'm not Australian, I'm New Zealand. Because you sound kind of alike. Nobody really understands the difference, but I know the difference, and you're welcome here. Okay, so here we have this case. Going back to it, you've got our good friend. I'm not our good friend, because let me explain something. I'm not here to necessarily bolster or to perform some kind of juridical apotheosis, dare I say, of Tyler Robinson. I don't know who he is. I don't know anything about him. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. He is. It's like being a pilot, and I'm instrument rated. I'm looking to see, what do I see here? I don't care where I'm going. Could be night, could be dark, could be fog, could be clouds. I'm just reading and I'm looking at this case. It's like, this case stinks. There's problems here. Who is it? I don't know who it is. I'm just looking right now. No confession, maybe. No link. Let me ask you one question before we move on. If somebody were to say to you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want you to go back into that jury room and find Mr. Robinson guilty, what would be the basis for it? Now think about this. What would be the basis for it? If the jury went back and said, okay, we'll find him guilty. Why did you find him guilty? Was it because of the confession? Again, which we don't think there is. Maybe there is. We don't think so. Was it because of what? What is the connection between him and this terrible crime? What? He was there that day? What? He was there that day. Think about what I'm saying. No confession, no rifle. Again, I keep saying this because somebody's going to tune in right now and say, well, how do you know? Assuming such, there's no connection whatsoever. None. Zero. Nothing. All that other stuff doesn't make any sense. I don't care about them. He says, well, I was there. I did it. Did what? Now, this next question. Ask yourself this. If you meet somebody, if you know somebody who says, what is your thing? What is your penchant, your penchant for this guy? Why do you love him so much? Well, I don't love him at all. No, but why do you keep defending him? What is your big deal with? Why do you like him? I don't. It's not it. I'm here for justice. I'm here for truth. I'm here for reality. I'm not for this. I believe in the Constitution. I believe everybody's entitled to a fair trial. Everybody. And this case has stunk from day one. But ask yourself this question. Let's assume that you were to walk into let's say you were to walk into a police station in Utah. And you walk in and you say, sir, Mr. Whatever, yes, I did it. I was responsible. You have the wrong person there. It is not Tyler Robinson. It is I. That's it. Here we go. Lock me up. Here's my hand. Give me the cuffs. I did it. What do you think would happen? what would happen? Would the police say, well, that's it? What would they do? What would they do? And they said, sir, please go away. Excuse me, pardon me. I want you to arrest me. Why aren't you arresting me? Why? Oh, Army Chief is out. Hexeth just gave him the... Got a lot to talk about. Can of worms, my friends. This is just nuts. This is nuts, especially on the eve of what could be war. Stop, please. If you've just tuned in, I beg you, my head is on fire. I've got a million things to say. I do not think linearly. I think geometrically. I think in text, subtext, vertically. I don't think horizontally. So if I go from one topic to the next, I beg your indulgence. I forgive you. Please, mea culpa. I expiate these shortcomings. It's who I am. So just get ready. It's going to be machine gun. It's going to be Mandelbrot's fractals. It's the way I am. Did you hear what Hexeth was talking about in terms of going into Iran with bulldozers, mining uranium and getting out? Say, what? Did you see all of these? They say there are these military vehicles in San Diego on these railroad cars that seemingly went on forever. Huh? We know people. What is happening? Help us. What is happening to my country? What's going on here? And I do not think Republican, and I do not think Democrat. I think American. I think common sense. I think justice. I don't think this way. I don't care who screws up. I'm not ever going to be some kind of a flag waver for any side. I'm not some sycophant. I'm not some bootlicker, some lickspittle, some toady. I'm not some fawning, obsequious, fanboy, star effer who just sits there and says, yay, go team. It doesn't work like that. Jamie says, Lionel, who would you interrogate at TPUSA first? Which one is the weakest? Well, it depends for what. I, right now, am telling you, if I had to tell you my gut feeling right now, I do not believe that any of the people that we know, anybody whose name has been identified, had anything directly to do with the dispatch of Charlie Kirk. I do not think they're a criminal suspect. I do not believe Erika, and I'm not saying this just to be nice, she is the last person who would be involved in it? No. But, I know you smell a but what I would do is I would sit down and tell them right off the bat, first and foremost, I want you to understand you are not, and normally in grand jury parlance, you're either a subject, a target, or a witness. And if you are a target of a grand jury, I know this isn't a grand jury, you normally send somebody a target letter and they can take the Fifth Amendment. If they take the Fifth Amendment and you really want to talk to them, then you grant them immunity. If they're a subject of a grand jury investigation, pretty much the same thing. But if they're a witness, but here's what I would do. And again, I know we're jumping all over the place. We're going to do it, but thank you. It's a great question. I would sit down and I would say, first, Erika, or whoever it is, whoever these folks, Colvett, I need your help. Let's talk. And with Erika, I would just let her talk. And I would say something like, I must say something. And I know this is rather irregular, but I want you to know how much I admire you and how much I admire the responsibility and the pressure that you're under. And I know that I can count on you to find out what happened. Yes. So tell me. And then I want her just to talk, because what she will say and everybody else, what's going to be the most interesting is something that they say off the cuff. Something nobody talked to. Somebody who was there, something that happened. That's what I want. The moment you start putting pressure on these people, they're going to say, I'm not going to talk to you. And I really, and I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this just to be nice. I don't think any of these, if anybody ever enlisted, first of all, I'm not impressed by any of them. Certainly not Eric. Certainly not. If anybody actually allowed them or participated or aided and abetted these people in something of this nature, these are children. These are also not smart people. This Neff and all these people, I can't believe them. I don't think. Have you ever seen sometimes kind of incoherent podcasts? That's what they do. They don't think about what they're saying. So I don't, like I said, let them talk. Now, the title of this is The Tacky Charlie Kirk Casket Shot That Turned Erika Kirk's Grief into Public Outrage. It all collapsed there. This is the part where everybody said, oh my God, who is this? Who? That's the moment. That was the singular, most disgusting moment, bar none. Anybody with his medal, my manicured hands, how dare this very proud man, this tall and strong and brilliant, reduced to a prop in a casket with his hands? I cannot tell you what I felt. Email or text. I cannot tell you. I can't put it into words. No class, no sense of, no shame, no nothing. It was the moment. Now, we remember, it's been asked before. And remember this. This is so interesting. And let me just bring this up. And every now and then I'll look up and I say, this is very, very important. This is very, very important. This is very, very important. Somebody will ask, why do you hate her so much? This is what always gets reduced to this. It's this childish, you hate, Candace is crazy, she's a psychopath, she's a demon. This is where critical thinking, I can't believe this. Imagine at the Oxford Union. Imagine you're debating, and when you are lost, you are getting your ass handed to you. You turn around and you say, why do you hate me so much? Or what's wrong with you? This doesn't work in the framework of debate in criminal justice. We don't talk about hating people. This is what happens when little children weigh into something. They don't understand critical thinking. They know nothing about the facts. They know things like Mr. Poopy Pants, and you're the good guy and you're the bad guy, or they don't like you, or they are jealous of you, or something. And the only thing they can do, and this is when you know you've won, is why do you hate her? Why has this become personal? Personal. I'm not going to explain to anybody why it's personal that they took Charlie out, and there's a bunch of people trying to slide this under the rugs, under the carpet. They just want this to go away. And this is where we've gone. This started off with people like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin and everybody else. The best they could come up with is that Candace is crazy. That has run its course. Whenever somebody says to you, questions your motivation, does anybody here, maybe you do you really hate, despise Erika? I don't. I may despise what she's doing. I may see this as a crassness, as a low rent, low class, really pathetic, just an unconscionable, low rent. But to hate, I don't hate anybody. I don't. Let me say this, and this is very important. This might not be for you. If you want to hear about all of the dynamics of what's going on, and you don't want to be, if you want to be disabused of having this narrative absolutely take over you like a stampede, like a tsunami, this isn't for you. This isn't for you. You're not going to like what's going on. We haven't even gotten going. The trial hasn't even gotten going yet. And what you're seeing as they go back and they dissect all of her references, you realize, my God, this woman is a child. She's this very immature child who is out of her league, who has said things and will say things that are just, this is not for her. Do you think Tyler Robinson will be convicted now? No. Do you think the recent news about the round not matching the weapon is significant? Yes. Listen to this. Do you think the recent news about the round not matching the weapon is significant? Yes, I do. And the reason is, if the bullet don't fit, you've got to acquit. This is a lint brush. It may have more to do with the death of Charlie than that rifle. Why? Well, because I'm holding it up now. I don't have the rifle. There is no projectile that has been ever linked to this, and there's no projectile that has ever been linked to that rifle. They could have had a bazooka that also would not have been connected to it. You could have had a bazooka. You could have had a flintlock. You could have had an M4 machine gun. You could have had a 50 caliber. You could have had a Barrett 50 caliber sniper scope. All of them have one thing in common. They're not connected to the round. If they are not connected, if there is nothing, if there is no connection, if no bullet is retrieved, no fragments, there is no connection. None. None. Try it. Now, you could also, in some cases, say, and this is very interesting, remember the Mannlicher Carcano that Lee Harvey Oswald purportedly used? Remember that one? Was it linked to the death of President Kennedy? No. Remember that one? No. You think, wait a minute, how is that? Why? Because when the officers first went in and they went to the sniper's nest, they found, what did they find? A Mauser, just like this. It said Mauser. All of these people in 1963 came from World War II. They knew weapons. They all served in the military. There was nothing, there was no connection, none. They kept saying, well, it's a gun that, wait a minute, first of all, its head basically imploded, which, by the way, was a frangible bullet, most probably. That many believe that Lucien Sarti, badge man, used on the front, but I don't want to get too much into that. But no. You've got to make a connection. You've got to make a connection. This lint brush. He was shot by this lint brush. This was a, wait a minute, what? A lint brush? Yeah. Well, first of all, it's not designed to project anything, but there's no connection. So let me ask you, let me rephrase this. If you find him guilty, if you find right now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you find Mr. Tyler Robinson guilty, would you tell me why you did that? Would you tell me why? Would you tell me what evidence did you use? Can you? This is overturned on appeal. What's the connection? I told you this before. If I walked into a police station, let's say the next day, or on that day, and said, listen, I was here. I'm turning myself in. I was the guy. It was me. I did it. It was I. I did it. I was there. Here's a picture of me doing a selfie. Look, here I am. Here I'm this far away. I'm near the stage. I was here. Here's a picture. I was there. Tyler may have been, let's say he was there. Okay, whatever. A lot of people were there. All those people in the back taking SD cards out, which is a weird thing. That doesn't necessarily prove guilt, but it makes you wonder, that's a strange thing to do, isn't it? Isn't that weird? Isn't that odd? But anyway, but if I went to the police and I said, listen, you should arrest me. Why? Because I'm here and I'm the only one who came in. You know, Tyler didn't really confess to anything. I'm confessing. EK will edit her education as she passed the bar and wants to be the new AG. You know what? I know that may, or maybe Kim Kardashian might want to do that. You do know that we believe nothing. Nothing. There is a woman by the name, her name is Christine Fekete, Fekete. And she goes back and just dissects all of Erika's own words. Did you see her with this old boyfriend about, I mean, she comes across almost as this virginal, I don't drink. She's abstemious. I'm a teetotaler. Look, there's nothing wrong with that. But whatever you see now, it's like which version, which story of which part of the narrative. Oh, let me also tell you something. She's going to have to take the stand, most probably. Oh, man. Oh. I promise you, there are going to be people who are going to be, because remember, when you take this stand, you're putting your credibility in question. You're putting it in issue. So get ready. If you have a propensity for lying, if you have a propensity for mendacity, here it comes. So let me go back to what I'm saying. Answer my question. You're the police. You're a policeman in wherever this city was in Utah. Why don't you arrest me? You arrested him. You arrested him. Why? Well, they found a mess. They found a rifle. Oh, I left a rifle too. If you go behind the such and such a 7-Eleven, yeah, there's a box. Go look there. It's the rifle. I left it there. Now you want to arrest me? Let's assume I'm telling you this. They're going to say, we're not going to arrest you. Why aren't you arresting me? Why? Because you're not Tyler. He's the narrative. He's it. We've made up our mind for whatever reason. We may or may not find out. He's the guy. Now imagine this. Tyler takes the stand. Now, normally you don't have somebody take the stand. Normally the last thing in the world you would ever want to do is have somebody take the stand. Especially in a murder case, you would say, oh, dear God, no. But this one may be different. Because I would say, you know, Tyler, my boy, you got nothing to lose with this one, pal. You got nothing to lose. And assuming what he says is interesting, what if you said this? State your name for the record. Tyler Robinson. And I think he's going to, were you there that day? Yep, I was there. Now, think about this. Why were you there? Why did you drive 3 hours? Why was this so important? Why? Why? Why was he? What did he do to you? Of all the people in the world, you're now a militant trans person? Is that what we're supposed to believe? That you couldn't take it? You said, I can't do this. What they're doing to trans people and what he's doing is so awful. I have to make a statement. Do you really want us to believe that? Do you really want us to believe that? Seriously. Honestly. Really? And you were so overwhelmed by this out of all of the people and all of the my God, the anti-trans rhetoric is, I mean, just look anywhere. Out of all those people, Charlie Kirk was the worst, who, by the way, treated people with such courtesy. And if ever there was anybody who provided a kind of a rational way of looking at it, it was Charlie. You really want us to believe that? You really do? Yes? Okay. Did you confess? No. Of course, I want to know, well, why were you there? Did you confess? No. Why didn't you confess? I didn't do it. Is that your rifle? It sure is. Now, let's just assume. I'm not suggesting this is the testimony, but let's assume you heard this. Yeah, that's my rifle. How did it get there? I have no idea. You know, Trevor, I should say Trevor. You know, Tyler, we found your fingerprint on it. Yeah, it's mine. And we found your DNA. Yeah, it's mine. But here's what we don't know. What about the other DNA? Who are these other people? Who are these other people? How many people? Well, let's do this. Where was it found? Let's take your mom's, your dad, and if grandpa's with it, let's take everybody in the Robinson family. All right, let's take a DNA sample or whatever it is. Did they show up on it? No. What if they didn't? What if they didn't? Donovan says, EK, victim impact statement, better be Oscar worthy. You know what? I don't know if that, I mean, put it this way. It's going to be Oscar worthy no matter what. I think sometimes the victim impact statement is pretty much self-explanatory in that one. I don't think that's going to be that critical. But you're right, though. See, anytime, Tyler should pray that she doesn't miss, for his sake, she doesn't miss the courtroom, the stand. She will not miss a camera no matter what. She can't. She can't. That's why this thinking of her said, I'm going to do this casket shot. This thinking said, I love the attention so much. 6 days or whatever after it, I'm going to do that creepy Zoom video or, with members of the staff. Hey guys, remember that one? So listen, she cannot avoid this. But understand, as you're sitting there and you're thinking as a juror, I want to convict this guy. What do I use? The confession? There's no confession, perhaps. I can't even prove he fired a gun. What's the connection? What if listen to this. What if they had found no rifle? What's the difference between charging him with a rifle that they found that can't be linked to the crime or not having a rifle? The answer is nothing in their mind. Let me say this again. Think about it this way. If there were nothing was ever found, nothing that is identical to finding a rifle that cannot be connected. And I like the way they're saying, well, you keep saying that there's no connection between the rifle and because there's none. No. Just because you don't have a connection, just because you haven't matched, doesn't mean what? You haven't matched it. Why did you test it? You must have thought it was important. Tyler, yes, sir. Did you ever take one of these called a GSR, a gunshot residue test? Did anybody take your clothing? Did they process it? Normally if you're there and you have your cheek next to the gun, there's residue. There's residue. You can see it on your hand, you see it in your clothes. Anybody do that? No. Did you know them? Not that I know of. What are you supposed to do if you're a juror? I go back to this question. How do you find? Now, the indictment will read, of course, as usual, that on this date, I don't think it was a grand jury. No, it wasn't a grand jury because the reason why we have a preliminary hearing is because there was no grand jury. Texas says, do you think the trial will have cameras in the courtroom? I hope so. I normally don't like cameras, by the way. That's a great question. I hope so. Oh my God. You know why though, don't you? Why do you think I want cameras in the courtroom? Why? Why do I want? Remember, if I'm doing this in the light most favorable to Tyler, by the way, if there's evidence he did it, fine. Pack him away. I don't think you're going to find this. And if I stand corrected, I will be the first one to tell you, well, it seems like he's the guy, but it doesn't right now. Why do you think you want to see cameras? Guess who can't pass that one up? Moth to a flame. Who's going to see cameras? Who's going to be there front and center? Who's going to lay it on? Who's going to sit there with the magic hanky? Who? Who do you think's going to? And I'd say, baby, get ready. Watch this. And you want to have this. The jury is going to have a what the? Now remember this. This will have been, it could be 6 months. It could be October before they do maybe the preliminary hearing. God knows when this thing goes to trial. God knows when this thing goes to trial. But if it doesn't go to trial, and if she takes the stand, you know and I know that after a period of time, grief, to a certain extent, doesn't diminish, but it's tempered. It's more proportionate. It's more, you know what I mean? It's there. It's different. You saw that fateful State of the Union address. Remember that where the mother of this Ukrainian young lady who was stabbed by that ghoul. Speaking of ghouls, on that cross, that bus, whatever, and she was there in the State of the Union in the Capitol, and she was so bereft she couldn't move. She wasn't crying. I mean, she might have been a little bit more, but time has a sort of a way of putting into perspective, to tempering the feeling. Donovan says, Bondi Bongino are gone. How long does Cash have? That's what I said before. He's next. See, by the way, Trump has this thing where he says, when I'm done with you, I'm done with you. It takes him a long time sometimes. He realizes, I've got some very serious problems. I've got 3 of the biggest nincompoops. Pam Bondi, who botched the Epstein case up. Kash Patel, who is just a walking disaster. Bongino thankfully left. And I'll tell you who's really going to be a problem, and that's Hegseth. He's acting like a little boy. You don't talk about things like blowing countries into the Stone Age, or what is that? Mr. Trump, please, President, you have to tone that down. You're far more effective if you don't say that. But have I made this case clear to you? If they're going to find him guilty, what are they basing it on? That's an appeal. That's a reversible conviction right there, because an appellate court would say, "Why did you find him guilty? Guilty of what? There was no evidence. What was it? Did anybody see him? No. Was anybody there? Did he have an accomplice? No." And I haven't mentioned all the text messages, which, by the way, chain of custody, and also authenticity to say, is this a true and accurate depiction of what you're seeing? That's the standard. Where are these from? Well, they're from, I don't know, Android, or, okay, what about the Discord? Who are these people? Is this real? How do I know he did this? Before you introduce something, you've got to authenticate it. You can't introduce this just because where did this come from? Now, you might be able to say, well, let's take Twig, let's take the gay boyfriend, with a fuzzy hat. Let's take his phone. Maybe you can authenticate that. But you just can't go in, put up a text message and a screenshot and say, that's his. It doesn't work like that. See, that's the thing I'm saying. It doesn't work like that. That's the part which is the most important. That is the part which is the most fascinating. That's the part of this which I have to explain to people. I'm telling you, and I'm going to say this again, and please don't think I'm being like I'm repeating something where I don't think you can understand it. I know you can. I absolutely know that you can. There's no doubt in my mind. I know you understand this. I really do. But what I don't understand, what's also very, very strange, this idea, very, very simple. How is it that we put ourselves in the position of, and this is important, how is it that we are such that we're not able to look at this in terms of the rules specifically that you have to prove this? And I'm going to say it again. Why am I finding him guilty? If there's no confession, if there's no gun, if there's no nothing, what's the connection? A statement where he sort of maybe took credit for something? Sort of maybe took credit, provided you can authenticate it? It goes back to simply this. Why? Why would you not find me guilty if I confessed that day, right after or before Tyler, and I went into the police station? I went in and I said, if you want to record me, do it. That wouldn't work either. Nobody can answer the question. Because there are people who are hell-bent on this. So the question is, rather than asking the question, rather than asking a very simple, serious question, rather than asking something to the effect of, why is it that you, how do I say this? Why is it that you haven't, what's the word? Why isn't that you hate, let's say, Erika, or you love Tyler? Why do they hate Tyler Robinson? Why are people so into this? Why do people believe so much in Tyler Robinson? Why are people believing so much in Tyler Robinson? Why? What is it? What is the reason for that? It doesn't make any sense. It's beyond anything I've ever seen. They can't tell you. Why do you just believe this? Why are you in the position all of a sudden about just believing this? Why? I don't understand it. Why do you believe him? Why? Or do you think he did it? What is it? Nobody asks you that. When you see people on Fox News or this, what are they? Why are you into this? Why are you invested in this? What do you care about Tyler? Who was Tyler Robinson to you? Is it because they told you that? Is it because you, what? That you think that a conviction somehow hurts Candace Owens? And let me tell you something. Don't think for a moment that's not true. These people despise Candace Owens for reasons I don't know. Why do you think that is? Let me ask you a question. Why? What has she done? What has she done to incur this wrath? Why? Oh, do you see where Macron, by the way, speaking of Brigitte, Macron's upset with Trump, and a lot of others as well, because that crazy case is still bubbling. Why do people hate her? What did she do? Is it she's a woman? I don't think it's race. I don't think it's race. I hope not. Is it because she's just smarter than the rest of them? Because she has such certitude? Because she doesn't ask for permission? Because she says whatever she wants? Why do you think that is? Why is there such this inordinate? And I can understand at first when people would say, listen, she's a widow. I understand it completely. I felt the same way. Why now? What I meant to tell you before, by the way, whenever this comes to trial, if it goes to trial and Erika Kirk were to testify, because she won't be able to get away from the cameras, and she shows that same level of emotional constancy that it never dissipates in the least, if that's the way it is, think about the repercussions of that. She never let up. She never let up. Not 1 second. She is as tearful now as she was 6 months ago. And that's not the way it works. Think about that. What do you think that jury is going to do? Also, should Candace Owens testify? That, I don't know if that helps, hurts, I don't know what. But if she were to testify, as to perhaps maybe knowing something. One of the reasons, one of the things, one of the defenses, if you will, that the prosecution can do, they can involve themselves in, is the following. Zamet says, Bibi has a bunboo is called Candace. A bunboo. Okay, well, if that is true, if you're speaking of Mr. Netanyahu, obviously, if that's what you're referring to, if that's true, if that's what I think you're referring to, then that is insane. Because of all the people in the world, she is the least of your problem. She is. Because she's reflecting what everybody's saying. See, that's the thing, too. I don't believe for a moment, if somebody were to say, well, it's Charlie. You see, Charlie was very he was anti our geopolitical policy. The brat says, coming in late, what happened to Pam Joe? Got to stick with the problem, my friend. She is history. She got to copy the home game. She is sayonara, adios, 86. Katie barred the door because of Epstein. Absolutely. Positively, 100%. But let me go back to what I'm saying here. There's so much going on. Do you think that Charlie really was so instrumental that the only way to address this is not to, I don't know, besmirch him, impeach his integrity, whatever it is, but to remove him? I don't know about that. I don't know if that makes any sense. But it's a theory that will have no, believe me, it will never be played up in court, because it was not the, well, let me rephrase this. One of the things that the defense could do is they could show that there was a rush to judgment. And that the rush to judgment was important because they had him targeted. They wanted him. And you could say the reason was for whatever reason. But the defense could also say they let other suspects go. I would consider Candace Owens a professional investigator with integrity and credibility, reliable testimony. Well, I would too. But remember, it's not Candace Owens. It's the evidence she adduces. It's the evidence she brings forward. It's not her. It's not Candace Owens per se. That's not it. She says it's this. It's this record as to corporate filings. It's this record as to such and such. See, it's not. Candace did just sit back and say, I think that maybe, I don't know. No. She always bases it upon what people said. She has the receipts, as they say. Whether it's Fort Huachuca, whether it's Egyptian planes, or who knows. It's based on evidence that she presents. Now, you may think it doesn't warrant. I don't know. That's maybe up to you. But there's something that's very strange here. Well, anyway, I was going to say, the defense could possibly be that the police, there was such a rush to judgment, that what they did was they didn't look at any other possibilities whatsoever. Jamie says, Lionel, if this whole thing was a movie, I'd turn it off because it was over the top unbelievable. Well, put it this way. If there was a movie, who would play Erika? See, make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. I have never, and maybe because I'm more, maybe I'm just more attuned to it now. Maybe I'm, I don't know, more aware. I don't know what the word is, what the phrase is. Maybe that's it. But I am telling you that the more I see what she does, the more I realize this woman is absolutely, positively without peer in terms of her, what's the word? In terms of her reaction. I don't know. I've never seen it. And you know what I'm talking about. Like I told you, that whole business with the casket. You know what's even weirder is sometimes I'll tell people that and they'll say, "What do you mean?" I said, "You don't see this?" No. I was like, "Oh my God." See, we live in a world, by the way, you know this. We live in a world today that's very, very tacky. And the tacky world that we live in is where people, there's no sense of anything. It's always about self-promotion. I one time saw a person who was in a hospital, and he was not celebrating, might as well be, but he was lamenting and mourning his mother who had passed away. And he was in the hospital with her. And he actually had her hand, it was in the bed. It's kind of like this gnarled, grayed, purplish, bony hand. And I think she had just expired. And he was there, I'm not kidding you, with his phone, giving you kind of like the pout look. Like, look at me. Look at my suffering. Look what I've had to go through. Look at my ordeal. My agonistes, my horror. Something in some people changes. Something happens to people. I don't know what it is. There's always been self-promotion to an extent. But today, it went in and it potentiated. Let me give you an example. Human beings always had the ability to get drunk and intoxicated, but it needed something to make you aware of this. Mankind was walking around this planet, able to get gooned to the max on some kind of hooch. If, and I say this, if they came into contact with something that triggered it. Until the first cave person or Neanderthal or somebody came upon maybe a batch of something that was, I don't know, maybe it was something that turned, maybe it was some cultured, maybe something became rather potent, and by accident, maybe by accident, they drank it and they got drunk. They would have not known that they could get drunk until you introduced this activist, this thing that potentiated, that made the connection. Social media came along and triggered something in us that we never knew. Yeah, people were sometimes vainglorious. People were stuck up. People were egomaniacal, egocentric, egotistical. Yeah. But it was mild. Remember when you were a kid? I don't know about you, but in our house we had the camera. Hey, it's a birthday. Go get the camera. Well, we have a couple of rolls to finish. Because you always did at the end of the roll. Remember that little cartridge, the Kodak? And you might have a roll in there from like last year. We didn't take pictures. You didn't have pictures of yourself. You had pictures at maybe, I don't know, Christmas time or something. Very rarely did we have the movie camera. Our mothers didn't wear tramp stamps and tattoos, and we didn't have MILFs and GILFs and all this other kind of nonsense. We didn't have that. It was a different world. Maybe you had a mirror in the bathroom. Maybe you might catch a reflection of yourself. Maybe if you were a woman, you had a mirror. Maybe you had a vanity. We didn't have this. If you were vain, you had to really go out of your way. You had to take a picture and go to the store and drop it off at the 1 hour, whatever, and get it back and look at it and show people this. A selfie was unheard of because you didn't want to waste film. Today we'll go through 1,000 of these. That was then. So those people who had the slightest indication of maybe being egomaniacal, maybe they had it. In today's world, just like that Neanderthal that found the bad batch of whatever, now they go crazy. And they find themselves enjoying a level of egocentrism that we never even thought was possible. So then there are other people who come along, and Erika is one of them. Erika Kirk is one of these people that first and foremost is looking to land, meaning she has this idea. She will be whatever role you want. What do I have to do to land this role? At first, maybe it was a sizzle reel, and then maybe it was I come up with these stories. Maybe I'm a pageant. Maybe I'll be a model. Is that it? Maybe an actress. Maybe, I don't know, I'll try this CIA movie on EMPs. I don't know. Maybe I'll sell real estate. Maybe I'm just looking for something, just floating around. She's like a bee waiting to land on something. And then came Charlie. And that was it. That's the ticket. That was it. All of a sudden, she went from a regular, normal, red-blooded American woman. All of a sudden, she is now this hyper-pious, super Christian, Bible-quoting this. I mean, but she's not about to change her outfit, her jewelry, her looks, the hotness, all that other kind of jazz. And Charlie, let's face it, Charlie was a kind of podunk. He was a babe in the woods. He never met anything like this. She got her hooks into him like you can't believe. You've seen this before. We've seen this. It's not rare. And then all of a sudden, she is just living large. I mean, did you ever see Charlie's house? My God, he's 31 years old. I mean, this guy's got a mansion. They've got more money. These people made money hand over fist. They're taking G4s and Gulfstream, this and private planes, sometimes by themselves. I'm sorry, I'm envious. I've never been in a private jet in my life. I think that would be great. But you're wondering, this is a charity? You're making these poor kids work sometimes, 30 hours a day, whatever it is. They're sleeping on the floor, and you're talking about merch sales? The greed, it's incredible. But not only that, when he met his fate, Erika was born. To repeat, I in no way, in no wise, I'm indicating, insinuating, or in any way implying that she had anything to do with his dispatch. I'm not. But when nature gives you lemons, make lemonade. And did she make lemonade? All of a sudden, the Klieg light, the spotlight went, and she said, at long last, this is what I have been waiting for. Not that she's happy about this. No, it's the attention. And the attention will come in whatever form. You want to be you want to be famous on a whatever these shows are, these reality shows? Okay, fine. You want to be famous as a doing industrial videos for the CIA? Fine. You want to be famous as a businesswoman selling big time Manhattan real estate? Fine. Whatever it is. She didn't care. But this one, not only that, money, the adoration, and sympathy. So it feeds, not only are people saying you are so hot and beautiful and sexy and talented, but we feel for you. Now you're also strong. It's almost like she's heroic. Do you know what this does to somebody who has been sitting around waiting her whole life to fill in? Don't forget, that mother was very dominant. Lori Franz, remember her? This woman, I don't know where she fit in, but she probably was waiting for her close-up, Mr. DeMille. And then all of a sudden, think about this. And immediately, had you heard of her? I mean, I wasn't a scholar of TPUSA, but I remember I've seen her, and they had kids, and that was it. Didn't know anything about her. Well, all of a sudden, here she comes. And it's not just, gee, look at you. You don't have to be talented. You don't have to sing and dance. You don't have to do it. Just give me the clothes. Let me remember anybody who is in a beauty pageant, anybody who's in a pageant, anybody, okay? Even her story about how she was recruited, which is still the funniest story, bar none. But anyway, all those people, especially those who claim to be recruited, who claim to be, these folks, what's so interesting about all of this is very simply this, and this is critical. They live in a world that is so fascinating. And what's fascinating about it is that they live in a world where, oddly enough, they are looking for something. And that same mentality that says you're going to be famous. Now you are admired, you are loved, you are everything. It is the most incredible thing in the world. Do you grasp this? So this is now going to be something. Because if this does go to trial, the prosecution is going to ask, do I want to have her on? Do I really want to have her? Is she going to help me? Is she going to help me? Is she going to be somebody who actually accentuates and improves this? I don't know. These are considerations, whether you like it or not. These are considerations which are critical. Do you think she's going to go quietly into that dark night? No. Do you think she's going to just be? No. Do you think if they say, listen, I want you to kind of tone it down a little bit? No. Not only that, the other people around, the TPUSA children, these moonbats, they can't keep their mouth shut. They can't let well enough alone. What they should do is very simply go back to doing charity or whatever TPUSA does and let it work like that. So we've got all these. There was a fellow named Eric Bren. He used to spin plates. He was on Ed Sullivan, and he would do these things. And the idea was you had to keep all of this going collectively. You had to keep this going and going and going, all of this stuff. And what was interesting was that's what this is. That's what life is. Keeping all the bowls, all the plates, all the stuff spinning simultaneously. And there's a lot going on right now. And it's getting better. But what these people don't understand is you've got the Candace level of investigation. You've got the Baron, by the way, who's doing a tremendous job. You have others. Then you have the independent, well, they're all independent, but the individuals who are the, I guess you'd call them the, influencers, whatever you want to call them, who are looking at this also. And they are creating this idea that there was nothing authentic ever about Erika, and it's going to bleed into a lack of an inauthenticity of TPUSA. Donovan says, would you let your child look at EK as a role model? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. Do you ever hear her talk about her kids? Look, I don't know if that's even relevant. I mean, it is sort of, but what's interesting is that this has gotten out of control, completely and totally out of control. And there's so many levels to it. But see, here's the thing, which is the most important, and you got to understand and grasp this. Some people look at this as we're just being mean. You know who I think we're being mean to? Tyler Robinson. Why are you going after him? Well, because he obviously did it. What do you mean he obviously did it? And what did they talk about? Confession and the rifle. And then recently, they had all these people, especially on Fox News, these experts to say, just because you're not able to link a round or a bullet with that rifle, doesn't mean that you can't connect the rifle to the gun. Well, that's exactly what it means. Yeah, but that doesn't mean he didn't do it. If you get pulled over for drunk driving and they do a breath test on you and you blow a .35, which would put you into the death category, you would be embalmed. If that happened, let's say they lost the results. Are they still going to prosecute you with those numbers? And they're going to say, wait a minute, you don't have the numbers. Oh yeah, we did. We just can't find the results. No, you don't have the results. Well, doesn't mean we don't know what we know what. No, you don't have the results. You can't go into court and tell a jury that the guy blew a .35 when you're unable to show them any of the work. You can't do this. Do you see what they want to do? They want to do this. They want to make you, they want to sidestep everything. They want to just say, you don't understand this. This is open and shut. And I want you to listen to me very carefully. Please make sure he's safe. Please make sure. I can't emphasize this enough. And you know what I'm saying. Because if something ever went, if he one day were eliminated from the calculus of this equation, if that were true. Now, Pam Bondi, we got to mention this. As you know, I don't start off this. I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat, whether you like Trump, vote for Trump, doesn't matter to me. We really don't talk about that. That's not, whatever your belief is, I respect it. It doesn't really matter. This is about legal matters. This is practical. This is reality. This is truth. Truth has nothing to do, I hate to say it, with politics. But if I could have gotten somebody from the beginning to botch the Epstein case, I could not have picked anybody better than Pam Bondi. I always thought that people knew what they were doing. When she came forward, all of a sudden it said, I have on my desk. By the way, full disclosure, she was from my hometown. I know her. We worked in the same prosecutor's office. We went to the same law school, but different years. I'm a little older than she is. But the point is, she's not a bad person. She was a pretty decent AG for Florida. Not, And I don't know why Trump does. I think Trump picks people that he thinks are hot looking, good looking, or that are good on TV or something. There are a lot of people that I would have never picked by virtue of the severity and the gravity of the situation. I just wouldn't have done it. And it's not because they're bad people. It's not because they're, but Judge Jeanine, no, for the U.S. Attorney for the D.C. Circuit, no. I would pick somebody maybe you haven't heard of, somebody somebody who would want to work there, but somebody who's a career prosecutor. In any event, so she came forward all of a sudden, and she decided that she was going to say, I have on my desk, remember this? Pictures, evidence, so grotesque, so horrible, so beyond anything you've ever seen. So horrible, so horrific that, and you thought, oh my God. Well, are you going to release it? Oh yeah. Oh, it's coming. Are you sure you want to release? Are you sure you have this? Oh, without a doubt. It's terrible. Remember that? It makes you sick. Okay, fair enough. Nothing happened. Then, remember the day there were the influencers who were all of them. You go down the list. I don't want to mention them by name. They're not bad people, but they were the ones that Trump or somebody said, hey, let's get them all here. Who are these people? Well, let's get them here. What's that? Remember that Tim Pool feller and all that? Remember that? You don't really hear about him. Or maybe you do. I don't know. I never really followed him in the first place. In any event. And Pam Bondi gave them binders. They passed out these binders. They're like what the Kinko's. They're like this. They're holding up this. What is it? And there was pages of something. First thing is, do not give me anything that has pictures, I hope you don't, of children, because now I'm in possession of this. I don't want this. So this is what they were doing. Whatever happened to this? We don't know. Then came forward Kash Patel, Dan Bongino. They changed overnight. Dan Bongino is a little boy. He's a tough guy wannabe. He's just a twit who just screams and yells. I mean, he goes ballistic. He is so, I've never seen anything like it. He loses his mind. He is so bereft of self-confidence that if you dare challenge him, he goes nuts. If you really believed what you were doing, if you really felt good, you'd say, I don't care what anybody says. Kash Patel in a short amount of time realized that this guy was a little boy who looked strange his whole life. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, who now is the head of the FBI. He's in the J. Edgar Hoover category. And he's got a girlfriend, and she's a country music singer, and he's getting laid. And he's sending either air security contingents to pick her up. He's trying to impress her because, damn it, Kash Patel, they're not going to laugh at Kash anymore. He wears raid jackets constantly. Raid jackets. Remember that one? Everywhere you go. Would you take that off? I hope you're not in a raid. I don't want listen, I don't want to make fun of the man's eyes, but do you want to give him a high-powered rifle? Can he see? Can he shoot? Get the rifle. Hey, come on. Where are they? Kash, please. Come on. Take it easy. Is this a gun? Can I keep this? Yeah, but what is going on? Do you remember when the very first week when all of them were going on raids? I think was it Alina Habba? She was in New Jersey. And then there was, I think, Kristi Noem, whose husband is into fetish films. Oh my God. Or fetish groups. You can't write this. She had her hat on. She had her ice or her hair extensions and the hat. You're standing there with a weapon to pretend that you're a part of a raid. Well, if I was a bad guy, that's the first person I would go after. I mean, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It came across to me like people who didn't know what the hell they were doing. Then Pete Hegseth and Bobby Kennedy Jr. are doing pull-ups and push-ups. What the hell is this all about? You think George C. Marshall could do a pull-up? He was one of the greatest Americans, if not the greatest American ever. General of the Army, 5-star, the Marshall Plan, Nobel Prize winner. He never did push-ups. What is going on here? I don't understand. Who are these children? Who are these people? Why are you telling them that we're going to bomb Iran into the Stone Age? And what if you don't? I don't understand what's happening here. I'm serious. I don't. Every day I start off with a kind of a private prayer. Please let me handle this insanity. Please let me handle this insanity that we're living in. I can't believe what I'm seeing. I can't believe this. I don't understand any of this. Do any of you understand what's happening in Iran? What is this? You're going to land? You're going to take uranium with bulldozers? You're going to excavate women. What? You're going to go in, take uranium, load it on a truck, move it out, all under with protection, and you're. I don't know. I don't understand any of this stuff. J.D. Vance is wondering, what do I do? But by the way, he's in bed with that weird, Peter Thiel and Palantir. Marco Rubio says, this is my time. I'm going to go out. I don't understand. My friends, I don't understand any of this. I'm a very rational person. I've been around. I think I know what's going on. I've been studying history and politics for a long time, like most people. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen people pretending to be tough. You're pretending to be tough and you're pretending to be hot. And you want to be sexy and you want to be John Wayne. We have a government of posers. I don't understand this. Seriously. And it's scary. And listen, I don't know about this, but I take very seriously Charlie's death. I take it very seriously. And I take very seriously the potential death of some innocent American who pledges his or her life, our American treasure, to the military with the idea that you're not going to squander my life, right? Right. You're not going to hurt me. You're not going to put me in a situation where I'm left vulnerable because you sent me into a military cause without a plan, without any thinking, regarding a terrain, regarding a people, without a clear mission, and without plans to get me back and to limit my exposure to death, capture, PTSD. Right? Right. You sure now? Because what do we do whenever we have any kind of like, we don't care about them. We pay more attention to being mean to Erika Kirk than whether we're mean to American soldiers and how we've just abandoned them still to this day. None of this makes sense. Maybe you figured this out for me. None of this makes any sense. And I understand that people follow orders, and that's wonderful. But we have a concomitant duty to make sure that nobody should have to follow an order that doesn't make any sense. My generation was Vietnam. I saw this. I missed the Vietnam. I missed it by a year. And I saw people. I saw what happened. And I've never trusted the government. Never to this day. And I don't trust them now, no matter who's in charge, because there's a deep state there. There is a permanent government. There is a uniparty group of ghouls. There is a shadow government that runs the world. And no matter who the president is, no matter who the cabinet is, they call the shots. And we need a complete and total revolution from top to bottom. Peaceful. Peaceful. So I don't want to get into that right now, but just so that you know this. I don't fit in. I'm an alien. I don't understand this. I don't understand why people want to burn Tyler Robinson, why they believe that he did anything when there's no proof of it. And I don't understand why people hate, some do, Candace Owens. But let me tell you something. She is today the most powerful person in the internet, bar none. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Yep, Ronald Reagan. She is the most, and thank you, by the way, she is the most powerful person on the internet today, bar none. Would you agree? There might be other people who might be, quote, more popular in terms of maybe subscribers, but no. People hang on her every word, every afternoon or when she does her very thorough reviews. There's nothing like this. I mean, absolutely nothing. So I'm honored to be a part of it. I'm honored to have won her faith. I'm honored to have won her support, or her encouragement, I should say. And I will reciprocate it. And more importantly, I am honored to have you here. Let me also say that I am honored that you have been following my beloved wife, Lynn Shaw, at Lynn's Warriors. She has so many good things going on right now. Did you know what's happening? Do you know what's collapsing right now? You know what's collapsing? AI. By the way, this is her link. Please, please, please subscribe to Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. I ask you. She's talking to some of the best minds ever. And believe it or not, what is collapsing is AI. You saw what happened with Oracle with Larry Ellison. 30,000 jobs. This is going to be tumultuous, what we're seeing right here. So my dear friends, I say to you, and I say this without reservation, thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me into your world. Thank you for blessing me by gracing the portals of my very, very noble, my very humble, I think a very proud platform, channel, whatever you want to call this. Thank you for your involvement. And understand that we're after the same thing. I don't care what it is. I'm after truth. I know that sounds corny. I know it sounds like it's true. I'm after truth. The rest of it you can have. Politics, nah. You don't need me for that. I want the truth. So I thank you for that. Please like this video when we leave. Please like this video when we leave. It means a lot. Make sure also that we do everything in our power, if we could, to move forward and to find ourselves in the position, I hate to say this, but to find ourselves in the position of doing something even more interesting. Make sure that we enjoy our time together. Remember, this can be interesting. It can be illuminating. It can be a lot of things, but it's got to be fun. And that's the most important thing. All right, my friends, have a great and glorious day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Please stay tuned, and please make sure that you find yourself connected herein. It means the world to little old me. Until then, my friend, remember, the monkey's dead. Show's over, sue ya. Ta-ta.